much. Joining us now is Julie Oyegun, former director at the World Bank. Now, she's one of the speakers at this year's World Business Congress 2015, which started this morning. Thank you so much for joining us today and making the time to speak to us. Maybe let's touch on your involvement at this particular conference. What are the key issues that you're attending to?
Well, I'm here as a delegate from Nigeria. I'm one of the trustees of what we call the Global Fund for Jesus, GFFJ, and it's affiliated to the GBR. The GBR, the Global Business Roundtable, was actually set up to operationalize the mandate of the Fund for Jesus, and so I'm here as one of the national trustees from Nigeria.
Julie, Lindsay Williams in Cape Town. Where does the World Bank, you're a former World Bank employee, director, where does the World Bank fit in with the various international organisations these days? You've got the IMF, you've got the World Bank, and you've got the central banks doing what they're doing. How relevant is the World Bank these days, and how relevant is a conference like the World Business Congress? These things seem to me, as a cynical broadcaster, to get lost in a mass of conferences.
Why do I feel sometimes the same way? First of all, I should, full disclosure, I'm ex-World Bank. I was 12 years Chief Diversity Officer at the bank, but I'm very retired now. But how does all this fit together? Well, the Global Business Roundtable and the Global Fund for Jesus are committed to rolling back poverty. And this is all, it's a movement of Christ's people to raise a fund to reinvest in reducing poverty and dealing with social issues, which in some ways is quite similar to the mandate of the bank. You know, the bank will tell you that we dream of a world without poverty. So in that sense, we're all in the same business, but we're coming from different motivations, if you like.
Are people working together basically, obviously to see the eradication of poverty, but also I take it you have the benefit of coming from the bank and understanding that there are macroeconomic issues and elements at play here, that companies themselves also have their own mandates to fulfill and empower their shareholders. Given that everyone is working on their own agenda, are you finding that there are increased levels of collaboration?
Not necessarily, which is I think where GBR comes in, because one of the values of GBR is inclusiveness. That everybody this can be a win-win. I mean, we don't have to exploit one another to get where we're going or where we would like to go. And I think that's at the core. One of the first values of the GBR and the Global Fund for Jesus is love. Love your neighbor as yourself. And that's a mandate given to us from Christ himself. And so you can do good business is the idea. And you can actually create wealth and create jobs and opportunities without exploiting one another. And so you might say that it's a direct challenge to capitalism as we've known it. Yeah.
There has been a direct challenge to capitalism, I think, and it's been embellished over the last few years, Julie. It was International Women's Day on Sunday, and on Monday when I was on radio, I did a feature that said that that out of 100 rand or $100 that is earned by men, only $77 is earned by women, and that was 74 rand or dollars 2 decades ago. So women's wealth has gone from 74 to 77 over 2 decades. The top 80 people in the world have more wealth than 3.5 billion below them. So inequality is alive and well and not being reduced, it's growing. So perhaps the organisation that you're currently associated with and the conference that you're currently attending and speaking at has some relevance, but you've got a lot of work to do.
Well, nobody thought this was going to be a walk in the park, I can tell you that. Look, these phenomena may be growing, but they're under siege. I don't think that the world is prepared to settle for inequality indefinitely anymore. I used to be the Chief Diversity Officer at the World Bank, and I did that job for 12 years. And so International Women's Day for me was a very busy day. In fact, at the World Bank, we used to spend the whole of March dealing with the issue of gender inequality and the cost to the world, to families, to individuals of gender inequality, such as the wage gap, and what needed to be done to reverse what has become a very worrying trend. And so I bring some of that awareness to the Global Business Roundtable, but also with the additional insight that what we are seeing is not Christ's way. And so that's the challenge, as well as the opportunity for us in the Global Fund for Jesus and the Global Business Roundtable to demonstrate as Christians that there is an alternative way. And so this is a movement, again, of Christ's people to demonstrate that we need not exploit one another.
Looks like we're working towards similar objectives, just in different directions.
You want to hope so?
Julie, thank you so much for your time
Thank
today.
you.
Such a
You've been
pleasure
wonderful.
having
Thank you so much. And thank you, Lindsay. Thank you.
That was Julie Oyegun, who is the former director at the World Bank.